Mars is in the sign of Cancer until September the 28th. Because Mars will be in a square to Venus, but also trining Cupido, love stories that are sexy, hot, and full of chemistry can arrive in your life if you are single. So if you're a single person, I'll delineate how and why that could happen. There may be the introduction by the third week of September of a new love story for you. Astrology. The action taker planet, the one who chooses and decides, the one who represents that noble instinct to go into protection as a noble, heroic, even chivalrous warrior is Mars. And he's about to move into the sign of Cancer, where he is fiercely protective of those he cares for and loves. And this ingress into the sign of Cancer from August the 11th until September the 28th will invite us to look at what is worth protecting in our lives, what is worth defending in our reality. And Mars in this sign is also, as he enters into the sign of the moon, the sign of Cancer, flowing in a beautiful exact trine to Cupido. And this ingress, as it initiates Cupid's arrow energy, can bring a lot of us new romantic love. There's something about that ingress that suggests we can also find a new ardor and passion for something in our lives that we really want to be turned on by, enthused by. As Mars is moving through the sign of Cancer, he'll make some aspectual relationships to other planets that will be interesting to watch, especially his square to Neptune and Saturn midway and at the end of the month. We're going to see some big geopolitical turning points, some big reveals on the world stage. Things that were hidden may be revealed, things that were difficult may be finally understood. And lastly, with Mars moving through the sign of Cancer, we need to look at the moon, the ruler of Mars, and his story. And so in today's video, I'll draw your attention to what the moon is up to as he enters her home temple, the temple of Cancer. Welcome to my channel. I hope you are new. If you're new here, welcome. If you're one of my regulars, thank you. And I hope you guys are having a better month of August than some people have been declaring to me. The eclipse season is here. I put out several videos on the eclipse portal and the eclipse in Leo. There will be a forthcoming eclipse video for the Cancer Pisces eclipse at the end of the month. So don't forget to like and subscribe and give me a shot. I really appreciate it. Now, I am excited to say that in this year of 2026, the year of our Lord, I am teaching Sky Reader for the 7th time. Come join me. It'd be so much fun to have you in class this fall. It is my flagship program. It's a boot camp to read your own sky, time your best life, be your own astrologer, and really with 2 amazing divine timing tools that you can use right off the bat. We have guest teachers. We have 6 of them. We have live teachings with me. We have Q&As. We have Facebook and Discord group to meet other students and connect with fellow learners. If any of this is even remotely appealing to you, you might want to definitely look in my description box below, and I'll pin it to the comments, the link to my website, laurielillian.com, where you can look at the Sky Reader, read all about it, and decide if it's for you, and then you can enroll. And looking forward to teaching this again. And one other thing I want to say about coming to learn from me is, nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? It is a map of the sky. Astrology is a time map, and everyone wants to time their lives for the best, right? For the best way to move forward. So come study with me if you're at all feeling the call. The price in August is discounted from its full price. The full price will probably start up early in September. We begin the 3rd week of September. Okay, let's get enough of that sales pitch out of the way. At the end of this video, go scroll to the very end, or look at the timestamps. I have a deeper dive into the video. I share the website. I talk about it a bit if you're interested. All right, guys, the Mars story is interesting to me at a very geopolitical level. It's going to be somewhat fractious, right? Mars is in a condition of fall. He's in a sign of water. At the very best, you can say water problems, right? Mars is going to bring difficulty and challenges with water. We are moving into hurricane season. And so, yes, hurricanes will be bigger and better than ever, larger and Cat 5 than ever. So I will declare predictively Mars in his fall every 2 years in Cancer can bring hurricane problemos. So it can just simply be that story. And it's kind of amplituded or increased it because of square energy to Neptune, the sea god, and Saturn in the sign of Aries. So now this gives it even more momentum for some calamitous flooding, difficulties with water, and maybe also, water difficulties is really what it is. It can be droughts some places and flooding others. It can be Category 5 hurricanes some places and and literally groundwater evaporation and others, so water restrictions, right? Especially in Cancer, because Pisces is the ocean and the sea, sure, but Cancer is often our domestic water because it's the sign of the mother and the home. And so we're talking about aquifers, we're talking about rainfall levels for growing things in your local area, and maybe some challenges there as well. Now, another story before we do your sign, another story I want to bring your attention to is the idea that Mars is a justice kind of warrior. I hate the word justice warrior, but what I mean is that he can be that guy in the story that he is going to be causing justice to be executed, so to speak, right? In some way. And he happens to come into a square to Hubris. And Hubris is like to transgress against the gods. Hubris is an asteroid, and to transgress against the gods. And Hubris will be in Libra, the sign of balance, fairness, and justice. And so whomever and whatever has been elevated in terms of their overestimation of their own power, their pride and their vanity of what they're capable of doing, that they are better than the gods, hubris, will be punished. Mars is going to square Hubris in Libra. And if you think about Libra, and also Venus will be in Libra, and we talk about the world stage, any nation or leader with a strong Libra placement in their sky will be under the punishing force of Mars, who wishes to correct the scales of justice, the cosmic scales of justice and fairness. And this could be the nation of Ai in the Middle East, where there is a warrant out for a war criminal who leads that country, because that country is a Libra rising, and its leader has his sun and moon in this leader of that country has his natal sun and moon in the sign of Libra. So, well, there has been no justice served for that country's leader and that country's actions at this point. There can be an interesting turn of events. Now, Mars is in the sign of Cancer until September the 28th, and there may be some fall elections going on in that little blue and white state. Its flag is blue and white, and that I don't know the exact time of that, but it could mean a massive downdraft and a drop from power, especially given Venus is sitting with Icarus in the sign of Libra next to Hubris this month ahead, meaning that somebody who has gone high to power near the sun, right? Icarus fell from the sun. His wings melted. They were made of wax. His dad had invented the wings. There's a story there that any elevation of power from a place of arrogance and hubris, that type of person may indeed have a fall from power in some way. And Chris has a terrible habit of looking like things that fall from the sky, like airplanes and stuff like that. So how that person falls from power, I don't know. It may be political power. It may be being unalived by an enemy, for example. Okay. The world astrology is not something I'm going to belabor. What I am going to do instead is I'm going to move into the whole sign house system and show you the sky. And we're going to trundle around the sky together and pay attention to what the stories are for our life. Because Mars will be in a square to Venus, but also trining Cupido, love stories that are sexy, hot, and full of chemistry can arrive in your life if you are single. So if you're a single person, I'll delineate how and why that could happen. There may be the introduction by the third week of September of a new love story for you. If that's something you're looking for, and that's something that's in your agenda, then wonderful. If not, and you're already in a relationship, maybe the sexual chemistry, the frisson, the fun, the sexy fun times could pick up a bit, and you might be feeling like you're falling back in love with the one you're with. Before we go ahead and do that, this girl is going to put the air conditioning on. My place is either hot or cold, but it's never in between. Okay, we're good. Now, let's go ahead and show you the chart, and let's trundle around the wheel. Liking and subscribing helps me grow. Please think about hyping my video, comments, etc. I do read my comments, not everyone, but I read them all of the time, and I heart you or I respond. So I still actually do like that thing that a lot of astrologers don't do anymore. So if you like a little high touch content from me, like I'm going to love you up. I almost forgot to say that I have a course called the Ultimate Money Code. Look in the description box below. Come join me. It's going to be fun. I've upgraded my money code course to the Ultimate Money Code. It's going to be about 90 minutes, and we're going to talk you and your finance based on your natal sky. All right, and here we have it. First thing I want you to notice, I just happened to set it for Capricorn. It doesn't matter. That's a Cap rising. Listen for sun, moon, and rising sign. Stella, my editor, will have inserted that description of the difference somewhere in this video. One thing about your story, no matter who you are, is Mars is here only every 2 years. So every 2 years on average, you get 6 weeks of Mars in Cancer. Although sometimes when he's retrograding through Cancer, which he did last time 2 years ago, he spent more than only 6 weeks here. We're not going to go back to the past. We're going to focus on the now. Mars is in the sign of Cancer, and that's called his ingress, 0 degrees. This is happening in August 11th in Atlanta, Georgia. That was the client's chart. And that'll be around 6:30 p.m. on the 11th. Adjust for your time zone. And as he moves into the sign of Cancer, you'll notice right away that he forms a flowing aspect to Cupido, the asteroid of Cupid's arrow, falling in love, passion, ardor, the erotic impulse. That is beautiful energy in water signs for emotionally fulfilling romantic attraction for any of you looking for love. And I'll bring that up in more specific terms after we get through the basics. This is the asteroid up here of Icarus falling from the sky and Venus. Mars is in an aspectual relationship to both, cuts, ends, and severs. Who's he ending? Who's he cutting? Who's he severing? It can be a world leader who's going to have their wings melt and fall from power. I already mentioned the little blue and white state has its world leaders, sun and moon here, as well as its own ascendant. That nation's fall from power will show up between now and September 28th in some visible way for us to all see. You'll notice as well that there is the hubris archetype opposite the wings that melt. Where has a world leader or a government had such arrogance and pride that they felt they were better than the gods, and they transgressed against the gods as well. And this transgression against the gods is what we're seeing here. Perhaps we'll see a world leader fall. And it's typical that when Mars is applying to a planet, he has the most power, meaning he's moving this way and he's looking at the Venus Icarus story. Mars's gaze in an applying superior aspect means that he's focused on this part of the chart. He's focused on Libra. And you can think of it like he's targeting fourth house from him, the home base of this Libra energy. In the world, again, I've already delineated where that country may be. And behind him, he's not looking at it, but that's 10 houses from him, is Saturn at 14 degrees, Neptune, and Hubris. Now, there is a world leader country that has a sun in the sign of Aries, and that would be the nation of Iran. So it's possible that Iran is opposing the nation with a blue and white flag, and Mars is assisting the blue and white flag nation to fall, not to win. He's squaring that nation. And I'm just going to say it like I see it. I'm not geopolitically favoring one or the other. Well, that's not true. I'm favoring the one who doesn't do war crimes. Yes, I am. So there's a story there for you to consider. And if you're botting me from, the AI bots, the chat bots, the troll bots from the blue and white flag country, yeah, good luck. We don't believe you anymore. Now, one of the things I have to say, don't worry, I promise I'm doing your side. One thing I want to mention about Mars here. Mars is literally in the place of the defender, right? He wants to defend the home, the homeland. Yes, he can be a little bit overly emotional here. This is the downside. Mars making decisions and taking actions from a place of emotionality. On the other hand, Mars could also be simply wanting to defend the true, the noble, or the just, but he's actually aiming a pointy weapon at them, so he's likely taking unjust people whose wings are melting out of the geopolitical landscape. All right. If you have any more Libra countries, Libra leaders you want to bring to my attention here, please do. I'd love to hear about it. What I don't know, because I don't do every country, might be interesting. So let me know about more ideas you guys have in the comments about where justice is being dished up and served. The moon herself is the ruler of the Cancer sky. So she would try her best to tell Mars to behave. It's probable she's having a hard time doing that. The semi-sextile is a very soft aspect. It doesn't have a lot of clout, and it's almost like she's being blindsided by Mars, as if she can't really see what he's up to because he's in her peripheral vision. So the downside is that perhaps she can't manage him. And from her perspective, Mars is 12 houses away from her, right? Start counting, guys, this way. This means that he's also in the house of hidden enemies to her, and he's also in the house of self-undoing. From the moon's perspective, it's also a challenging house. And it also means far off lands and distant shores from the moon's perspective. The moon is literally not paying nearly enough attention to Mars because she's too busy in this Leo stellium. And Mars is going to be doing this as a part of a planetary parade in the visible sky. When Mars is doing his ingress into Cancer, we can see him. He will be very easy to spot in the sky, and along with Saturn. Neptune, it will be visible if you have a telescope, and Uranus if you have your binoculars. And so this planetary parade in our heavens, Mercury and Mars and Saturn, and Uranus and Saturn and Neptune, not to mention the moon, right? Mercury moon. There is a lot of visibility in our heavens and the sun as well. So when a planet is visible, it is potent because it has actionable power in our reality. If a planet's invisible, it's got the out to lunch sign on and it's doing some inward stuff instead. Mars is acting in the outer world. Now, because the little blue and white flag country has Cancer as its place of its 10th house as a nation, it is a Libra rising. It means cutting and severing and ending, or challenges or unalivingness, if you like, towards its leadership, the people who've been elected to be in power. So we keep seeing the same story playing out. This is the Ingress chart. So this could play out from August 11th through to September 28th. The Ingress chart is a stamp of the energies that happen as a planetary body moves into another sign, and it kind of bakes that in like you would bake, something into clay, and it's like it's really hardened and it sticks with it. The themes, the primary themes of the next 6 weeks. Yes, I'm concerned about this over here because this is a lot of eclipse and Silarus stuff. Jupiter means the king and the leader or somebody in power. And Sun is here, which can be celebrity, but also leader, king, or somebody in power. South Node is depletion, surrender, let go, release. And then on top of that, we have some asteroids that are very evocative. There's Eclipse. This is a centaur who was killed by blunt force trauma as a spear hit him in the face. And we also here have Silarus, and Silarus is another story of somebody killed by a spear. So we have 2 stories of spear death by spear. In our modern day, we don't have spears, so you can take your weapon of choice, anything that is a weapon that can cause harm. And spears fly through the air, and so do projectiles that come off of pow devices, right? These words are not good for advertising or demonetization, so I'm making up pow, you know what I mean? So there's somebody who's in harm's way who's a leader, and over here is Zeus, so double down on it. Zeus and Jupiter, the same archetype. The king, the leader, the politician, the person in a position of power may be coming into a difficult time. And this story is active, very active, August the 11th. So you could go right into that eclipse in the sign of Leo on the 12th and go which world leader is going to face very difficult circumstances, maybe even fatal. That's my prediction. Alrighty, and now any leaders with a Leo rising are in play. Yes, J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, Erica Kirk, Tulsi Gabbard. My chart rectifications. Madonna is not a leader, but she is a celebrity. Things could go south with her health. All right, let's move on and leave that story behind. Let's talk about your sign now. Okay, so you got the lay of the geopolitical landscape for those of you who love this stuff. If you want to be a members only person here on YouTube, I have every Monday's week ahead video. There's always a 15-minute segment, extended version, where I'm really, really able to express what I'm seeing without fear of demonetization on the general video. Okay, you get it, right? Hello, guys. You always ask me, rising sign, sun or moon, how do I listen to this thing in astrology? Well, your sun is who you really are. Think of it about your spiritual essence, your divine light, the flame of your soul that lives forever, takes on a body, and that body is the ascendant. You might think of your sun sign like the actor who plays the role in the movie. Your sun is the real you, and the role you're playing in the movie, well, that's your rising sign. You tend to look like that sign. You tend to act like the personhood of that character in the simulation. It is not your real self, but you need a vehicle for your spirit to express. And when we look at your moon sign, we think about how you feel and think about life, your happiness, your emotional blueprint, your subjective well-being. But you remember the moon is only reflecting the light of the spiritual essence of you, the sun. So therefore, it's a temporary aspect or an operating system for your consciousness. I see a lot of the time that people's moon sign is really useful when you want to see how you're going to feel about this sky, but it also connects you very strongly strongly to energies of home, safety nest, and mother. The moon is that stuff to do with the nurturant part of reality. When we talk about your sun sign, it can be father related material, but also connections to your purpose and career. For your soul is inherited, is on planet Earth to do something, right? And we usually call that a purpose of some kind. And lastly, the ascendant, very sensitive to your body, very sensitive to the fates and the circumstances of life. That is where your rising sign is, how you showed up, took the first breath of life. What was the sign on the eastern horizon at the time of birth? That's what the rising sign is. And it's very accurate for delineating astrology, at least until the age of mid-40s. And we begin to move back into our true self, into our solar energy. And we'll notice that our sun sign becomes as accurate, or can be more and more actively useful for prediction. Already, sometimes you'll look at children for the first 7 years and they're operating primarily on sun sign energy. So when you're looking at your kids, definitely listen for their sun sign over their rising sign. All right, guys, here's that short form. Take it away. Let's go into the chart ahead. Let's start off with Aries, because that's always the sign that starts everything. I have an Aries sun and moon, so I'm totally biased towards us Aries. So we want to start with us because we are always the go first sign. Yeah, nobody says me first more than Aries. And let's move ourselves ahead a day to get Mars over the fence. Here we go. So you are an Aries sun, moon, and rising. Oops, I am a sun and moon, but you could be a rising. And you're going to notice that right off the very bat, you have a huge dose of realism and sage-like knowledge and wisdom going on right now because of Saturn. You're kind of like the reality check queen or king. You got this. You're sober. You're realistic. You know what you want. And you're not being deluded by Neptune. Not at all. You got your eyeballs on the ball. You know what you're going for. But Mars is also activating your fourth house of home, property, and real estate. When Mars is here, he has a penchant to want to either do construction jobs in the home, yeah, August 11th to September 28th, or have you move from your home or travel away from your home. Now, sometimes Mars here in a sign of water means flooding in your home. So hopefully you keep your pipes well done and you make sure that there's nothing to flood your home. But you may be in a region where flooding is happening and is outside of your control. So Mars will be here till September 28th. So sandbag away, guys, because this is what's needed. He is squaring the sandbagger, Saturn, throughout this journey in a whole sign square. And so it may be hard to contain the water. It may be difficult. Saturn will try his best as he applies to Mars to sandbag, to block, or to contain anything to do with difficulties with water. Whether or not that's feasible, I don't know. Saturn is retrograding, so he's got his back turned to Mars. So you might find hardship with water in the home environment. Watch for your emotions, Aries. Watch for losing your shit. I don't want to make it seem like that you're, a bad person, but this is like kind of a domestic violence in the home kind of archetype. So you or your partner or who you live with or your children, everybody's got a lot of high strung emotions going on here. This is where if you are cohabitating with somebody, if you're not living alone, be cautious that the domestic environment can have some harmony. I laughed about a friend of mine a few years ago when Mars spent 6 months in Aries, 6 months in Aries because of retrogradation. My friend had 2 women living with him, his girlfriend and his roommate. And one day, the roommate and the girlfriend, who didn't like each other, got into a literal physical cat fight, wrestling and hitting each other in the house. These are adults, guys. These are like people in their 40s and 50s. And so that's how bad Mars is in the fourth house. I tell you the story to say, don't punch your partner out. And that makes light of the darkness of this story. Be careful for arguments, conflict, aggression in the home. And, this is the kind of thing to say accidents in the home are cautious for that too. Don't trip, slip, don't in a puddle, don't burn yourself with hot water in the shower. This is kind of like a little calamity Jane in your home environment. Mars does, however, trine Cupido, and this could literally make you fall madly in love with what? Well, the 8th house is a secret love affair or some chunks of money. And you don't really fall in love with money, but there can be some passion or excitement about some money coming through the in-laws, inheritances, or money from passive income and passive revenue. One thing I say about this as well is that Venus and Icarus are falling, sort of like the melted wings, and Venus are here. And in general, the vibration is challenging. is what it means is that there's something going on here in your relationship to a significant long-term love partner. If you have one, I get it. Some of you don't have a long-term love partner, and Venus is being squared, but it's not aspectual. She's moving much faster than Mars and he won't catch her. But it means there's a feeling of almost, but not quite, breaking away from, quitting, ending, or cutting or severing a committed business or love relationship. Because Mars never really reaches that square, it's not likely to be that you cut the relationship or it falls into severance, right? But it could. And so the wings that are melting could be someone else. Your wife or husband, your business partner, they're going through a period of time where they feel like they've reached a height of power and now they're in difficulty, right? They're like spiraling down to the ground. So be careful and be gentle with your business and love partners to honor their own difficulty that they may be experiencing August the 11th to September the 28th. And your own pride or hubris, if you were to transgress against the gods, be careful where you overestimate yourself, where you believe that no, you are unstoppable, you are indomitable, and you are better than the gods. This is where you're going to fall. You're going to trip yourself up, especially when it comes to matters of your audience, marketplace, clients, customers, significant love relationship partners, and your home base. So be careful for your own arrogance under the sky. Eat a lot of humility pie with your dinner every day, or humility Haagen-Dazs, whatever you want. And remember, but for the grace of God, there go I. You are only doing well if you are by the grace of your own good karma. So arrogant pride and hubris is your worst risk, especially as we move into August 11th and the few days that follow it, but also even more broadly, maybe through to September 28th. Stay humble, stay meek. The meek shall inherit the earth. Now, could I say that for a country who's an Aries rising leader? Yeah, that would be Iran's leader. Stay humble. The meek shall inherit the earth. Your pride could be your fall. You see what I'm saying? Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. I can say that having this energy of Mars in your third house can bring some friction with your siblings, particularly a sibling one younger, but just in general, the sibling environment. This can mean that you and a sibling might have friction between August the 11th and September 28th. This is your neighbors and your local environment. This is also, therefore, friction in the area in which you are living, the people down the street, across the street, in your apartment building, that kind of thing. And you can find yourself in argumentative situations with those people. So try your very best not to be that. However, Mars is the defender of home and homeland, and your home could be your neighborhood or your apartment building. And some of you might be in some kind of fierce defending mode for that. Like, I'm here to defend the Apartment Homeowners Association. Funny, my daughter's a Taurus sun, and she's going to be in court defending herself against a violation of landlord tenancy rules in a court situation to do with her apartment building. So that will be exactly what she's going through between August the 11th and September 28th. And I think her court date is August the 14th. So that makes so much sense. Where do you need to fiercely defend your neighborhood, your neighbors, your people around you? But you can defend them or you can argue with them. So there's two sides to that very same coin. Mars loves to travel. He loves to go on an adventure. You might be very adventure prone. You might go August the 11th to September 28th. I am out there traveling on some exotic destination, some fantastico adventure. So if you are, congratulations. And Mars does actually exalt your ninth house of foreign lands. And so there may be some domestic and or international travel for some of you Tauruses coming up. And Mars here can also move your home to another country with the moon in the fourth house. So some of you might be prone to wanting to relocate your property, your home, your neighbors, neighborhood experience, your everyday life to another land, to a far offshore. So let me know if any of you have planned that, or if it happens between August the 11th and September 28th. I know a Taurus guy who's thinking he's going to move to like one of the islands in the Caribbean, and I'm like going to see if it's going to happen, but he says, I'm moving there and I've got it all planned. I'm like, he's Canadian. I'm like, okay, I'll see if that happens. He thinks he's moving by September 28th. I'll let you know. Alrighty. Cupido, passion, ardor, falling in love with someone you want to commit yourself to falling in love with someone you're committed to all over again, falling in love because you're in a travel mode with someone you care for, traveling and meeting someone and falling head over heels. This is things that can happen for you guys. And Mars is definitely delighted with Cupido in the seventh house, ruled by Mars. I mean, it's his sign. So he's like, this is really good. I am smitten here with Cupid's arrow, or someone is smitten with me. And it can really restore a sense of wellness and well-being that you may have lost track of because of the chironic wound to your identity. And just a little bit of love magic can spice up your life August the 11th to September the 28th. Why the hell not? You know, be careful for the hubris and pride that cometh before a fall. Over here, Mars is in a square. Hubris is applying to Mars. It can be something like your overestimation of your abilities to overcome an addiction, especially with, or self-undoing or bad habits and patterns, especially with Venus melting wings, Icarus here in the house of matters of health. So again, be cautious. Some of you with Mars squaring what melting wings of Icarus could have some challenges in your life regarding travel versus pets, travel versus rental property agreements, travel versus debts itself. So this is where you might overextend yourself because of travel, even if it's just short distance. This is also maybe something to do with wanting to be on a learning adventure. Mars is in, high spirits, although he's kind of wet. But if you want to learn something to do with homeland and home and nest and motherly stuff, like how to knit a sweater, how to sew something, how to think about the archetype of the maternal instinct, and hobbies or learning a skill. And you might be really compelled by the end of September to grab a hold of a learning hobby, and you might be very excited or very passionate about what you're learning. Okay, righty, now let's keep on because we got a whole lot of videos to record today. Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I am going to tell you you're experiencing this story with a money focus. Money and you between August the 11th and September 28th is on the table. Now, Mars here has two stories. Sometimes it's like, I will be a self-starter because I'm going to take over the old family business, or I'm going to be independently spirited in how I create money. People born with Mars in the second house, they're really good at being their own best boss and doing money-making endeavors through entrepreneurial initiative. I have Mars here natally in my second house. So you Gemini people might be fiercely driven, passionately engaged in entrepreneurial self-direction and making money, increasing your financial well-being between August 11th and September 28th. At the same time, you might also be spending more than you are comfortable with because Mars is in his fall, not his powerful home kingdom, not in his exaltation. So keep your eye on that story that, it's a balance between daring and initiative and overextension and high spirits that aren't founded in reality. Mars here can mean dental work. Funny enough, I have to get a filling, my first in a long time. August the 13th, Mars means dental work. I don't like that he's in his fall here. I almost want to cancel my appointment because I really don't like that, and I just might have to cancel it, which my dentist will be so angry at me. I'll probably have to actually find a new dentist because I would have canceled it before. And you know what? I want you guys to go, if you have to have dental work here, if you must, like your tooth is cracked and, or you've got a gum infection or something and you need to get it taken care of, please be careful. I don't like Mars's condition here of penetrating objects. That's the injection, the numbing agent, the drill, whatever. This looks a little bit tricky to me, and I'm not fond of it even remotely. And I think you could end up in some kind of hot water, like things don't go the way they're planned, right? So I want you to be careful, right? And I think I'm going to cancel my appointment now that I brought it up. Why am I talking about me? I have a progress Gemini sun. So this is applicable to my teeth. Your face here, like injectables, Botox, lasers, microdermabrasion. Sure, normally Mars could do that stuff in the house of the face. But unfortunately, and the mouth and the throat, but unfortunately with Mars here, he's not in good shape. And also be careful for your speech. Speech here for, 6 weeks ahead. You're passionate, you're full of vigor, you're speaking, powerfully, but are you speaking in ways that are safe for you? Because there is a square. I'm listening for myself. There's a square to hubris, right? That pride and arrogance that goeth before that fall. They're sort of besting the gods up here in the house of one's gains in one's career. And I'm more concerned that, like for me, I would speak aggressively about a political entity or something, and I would get shadow banned or demonetized or deplatformed. You see what I'm saying, right? So I have to be very careful here that I don't speak loudly and not carry speak softly and carry a big stick. Speak hardly and carry a small stick and end up in hot water with my platform. So this is an example. So keep your speech tamer than you normally would. Your hot emotional speech energy should be calmer, calmer for safety measures. Challenges with a sibling one older, squaring that sibling house as well in August 11th to September the 28th is feasible if you have a sibling one older than you in age, especially if the sibling is in any kind of cognitive decline, frail or elderly. Now, Mars here is also in a beautiful flow to Cupido in your house of job and work and health. Now, first of all, health would be life force energy, like Cupid's arrow, eros, eroticism. Life force energy is returning to your body. Mars loves martial arts. He loves jogging. He loves Pilates. He loves to move his body. He's a warrior. It could be getting you into swimming or more martial arts flow for physical vitality in the next 6 weeks. Mars is also saying you could fall in love with a coworker. See what I'm saying? You could fall in love with somebody in your job sector, professional sector. You could fall madly head over heels in love, little passion going on here with somebody you meet connected to your pets, as silly as that sounds, right? There's Chiron, like the medicine guy in the house of big animals like horses, and over here the small animals. So animals, vets, pets, who knows, dog walking, I don't know. In that kind of environment, you could meet somebody between now and September 28th and be struck by the arrow of Cupid. I don't know what you're doing with this, but this could be difficulty with a romantic sexual love partner and or a child falling from the sky. Their wings are melting. Mars is aggressively looking over at that. He likes to end and sever and cut and make potent decisions, but he's a bit emotional. Be careful you don't have a very big blowout with a romantic partner, a lover, or a child over financial matters. That could be a very big disagreement there going on. And if you are talking about your creative entrepreneurial instincts of the fifth house, the artistic endeavors, Venus is keeping you safe here and doing a great job. But there could be a very kind of qualitatively a big warning not to let your wings melt. Venus is in her joy. She's really protecting you in Libra. So creativity, art, all of that is wonderful. Another side of this would be pregnancy. If you were to receive notice that you or your partner are pregnant, Mars likes to terminate things, if you know what I mean. Venus would hold on to it, and Icarus would be, why are you melting here? Was it unintended? If that's the case, what are you going to do about it? That's a warning flag. All right, keep it, because especially with Uranus, the unexpected trine Venus here, we'll be doing a whole separate video on that. Okay, it is like shite. Accidental pregnancy is written all over this story for you or your children. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, I think that you're going to feel a lot of anger or a lot of emotion or a lot of passion. Take your pick. You're very aggressive right now. You've got a water pistol in your hand and you're looking at the world with a defensive posture. This will begin to be seen and known by you August the 11th to September 28th. And my only advice is to be careful you don't hurt somebody with your harshness, because your temptation will be to cut, end, and sever from a job, from a career path, from a significant love partner, or from where you live. These elements of your sky, 4, 7, and 10, are all under Martian scissors. So cutting and ending things are fine if it's the right choice. Mars is choosing. He's a quality of choosing things and acting on them. But I want you to look at your emotions. You know, the moon is in your second house, ruling Mars, and that would be financial matters and emotions. That could also be strong voice and emotions. So you have this temperament. You might be agitated more easily than you normally are. Things could cause you to fly off the handle. And be cautious for injuring yourself, because the square to Icarus in the 4th house will be injury in the home. With the wings melting, don't climb up to the roof. Don't go on a high ladder. Anything to do with falling from heights, close to home, in the home, is a danger for you. And I'm warning you about that. So yes, don't do it. Just stay clear of that story, especially August 11th to September 28th. Do not fall from a height in or front near your home. All right. Fever, rashes, infections are Martian. The other thing that could happen is that you could come into a window of time where you are under the weather for those weeks. And part of that can come from, like, wings are melting in the home, right? Because it's in your home that you're under the covers going, why me? I can't believe I got CVID for the 10th time, or whatever this could be about. Mars will eventually, at the middle of the month and end of the month, square Neptune, Saturn. And so there's a lot of intensity. You're making decisions about your career. You're trying to figure out your next move on your professional front. You're slowing down, trying to take it a little more easy up there. Saturn's retrograde, but you're just not sure, if this career, this job, this professional path is right for you. And Mars is the exaltation lord of your marriage partnership, and Saturn rules it. You may be really going into a window of time, if you're married, where you're really assessing the relationship to your partner and whether or not that's something that you're in for the long haul, or you may want to be exiting stage left. Mars here squaring Saturn like this hasn't happened in 30 years. So there's really a powerful feeling of you might want to exit your relationship as well. And last thing I say about this, in the sort of vibration of it all, is Mars is your career fella and exaltation lord of your marriage house. So there's just so many ways that your whole focus is on your home life versus your career life, and your relationship to some business or love partner. So those 4 themes are the key things that you are focusing on August the 11th to September the 28th. You got a lot of protection with Venus. Even if you injure yourself in the home, it'll all work out. Instead of a broken leg, you have a light bruise, right? It's not going to be the worst possibility. But again, there's a lot about that home life to pay attention to. Are you single? Are you looking for a relationship? Are you married and you're bored? Because Cupido is in the house of romantic love. This is your sexual fun, play, and pleasure. And Mars is turned on over here with this scorpionic Cupido, which can bring you into a secret love affair. But if you don't want to do secret and you're single, then it's just love, romance, and excitement is picking up somewhere between August 11th and September 28th for those of you who are single. Mars is the ruler of Scorpio. He would bring you somebody with a big erotic turn-on energy, because this is Eros, Cupido archetype. Mars is totally down for that. The sense I have for Mars here, he's looking for that emotional connection, that he's turned on by the emotional intimacy between you guys here. And he doesn't really care so much about, the outer appearance of the partner that you fall for. It's more about that emotional connection. And your children belong to the 5th house. And this is Cupido. You're not falling in love with your kid, but Cupido Mars can be you're helping your kid make some kind of decisions or take actions regarding a love relationship that your child is in, adult child, obviously. So there's something about that theme running throughout that time frame. And Mars does rule your house of kids. It's as if you're really in the middle of their world, especially your firstborn child, and you're really somehow guiding or helping them figure something out. August 11th to September the 28th. It could be about love. Could be about their love or romantic life. And they may be wounded, right? Chiron, the wounded one, meaning your firstborn child's marriage or long-term love relationship is hurting them. They're in an ouchie. Why are you in the middle of it? You're applying gentle emotional support of some kind with passion and ardor. Is the best I could say about that. You probably didn't want them to be with that person anyway, so you're kind of covertly cheering on the end of that relationship. Let me know if that happens for any of you. All right, Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Find that you guys are like so busy with all of this, you probably can barely pay attention to anything else. What the hell? You got a stellium in your sign, you know, Mercury, Jupiter, sun, and moon as we approach August 11th, 12th, and a total solar eclipse. Not seen in totality like this since 2008 and also 1971. And so there's a vibration of intensity that you're going through. Now, I want you to know that I've covered that in a video or two already. By the time you get this, you will have seen those videos on the eclipse and on the eclipse portal. So make sure of all the signs that you are the one to watch that, because goodness gracious, that's not what I wanted to do that. You are in the thick of it. I know you feel it. All that said, Mars has ingressed into your 12th house, and the 12th house is a lot of things. One thing I say, it's about travel when Mars is here. In my real life client experiences, people travel when Mars is in the 12th house. They want to go on a journey, on a trip. And sometimes that trip involves distant shores or far off places. They can be foreign or just far away from where you currently live, like the other side of your country or other side of your province. It's not domestically close at hand. But there is a feeling that you might want to go on a travel adventure. It's going to be calling you between August the 11th and September the 28th. And if you do want to go on a travel adventure, I'm highly encouraging you to do that. Now, I've got to go back by a day because I'm losing the picture that I wanted to show you. So this trine between Cupido and Mars is a big field of energy regarding traveling. Now, homeland as well. If you live abroad, you might want to travel back to your home or homeland. Or you might have a sense of a passionate love affair happening because of your traveling, but you might be finding you're attracted to someone from the same ethnic background, language, culture, somebody who comes from your own country, right? Because Cupid's arrow is striking in sort of the territory of your home life, your homeland, growing up, your childhood, you know, that kind of thing. So if you're not single, not to worry about it. You just might want to travel, and you might be traveling and having a great time off on some adventure. Mars here can help you cut things, end them, quit them, especially quitting addictions, quitting self-undoing. It's time to like snip, cut, and sever. And you be able to extract a lot of power by eliminating things that you do in your life that cause you to fall away from your own intrinsic power. You are a lion. You can roar. You have a big heart. You are like the whole thing. You are the Lion King. What is holding you back here? Health challenges, yes, because this is Mars in the house of medical places, like a hospital, for example, or a jail. Isolation. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be in the hospital. 9 out of 10 times Mars here doesn't bring you into the hospital, but it could bring you into action around hospitals or medical centers as well. So I'm not going to declare this is your problem at all. That's not my intention. But because the moon is a ruler of Mars, and the moon is going to be in an eclipse, right, a total solar eclipse in your sign on the 12th of August, it's kind of blending with that eclipse. It's quite possible that you should be very careful with your health. On the eclipse, sure, but really when Mars is in your 12th house. So between August the 11th to September 28th, be proactive with your health. Be careful with your health, your digestive tract, your stomach can be very much about the Cancer story, as well as your mammary glands. And be careful with your health. That's all. Just pay attention, be proactive, get your medical examinations done and all of that. But your natural, Achilles heel, other than your knees, for example, Capricorn, 6th house, your knees, be careful you don't injure your knee during those weeks, is your cardiovascular system. So make sure your blood pressure is good. You get all your medical tests for your heart health as well, because that's where you might have a challenge. You guys hate when I tell you, yeah, just like Donald Trump is a Leo rising, but this could be a downdraft for his health as well during these 6 weeks ahead. And don't take it too seriously, because everyone's chart is unique. This is a general reading. With Mars also squaring Icarus as he ingresses, and this is the third house of siblings in general. Watch for a sibling whose wings are melting. This would be a sibling usually younger than you, and this would be not ideally, but one younger than you. And does a sibling one younger than you have a melting wings problem? Are they kind of melting down, falling from a height of some situation of power or success in their life? Quite possibly, yes, they are. And this is you seeing that. But over here, what's Mars up to? So it can mean that a sibling, a particularly younger sibling, may end up in a medical hospital setting. Mars rules surgical or penetrative procedures, and it doesn't mean that it's bad. It could be a diagnostic. You know what I mean? Like not an autopsy. What do you call it when you do an autopsy? What do you call it when you do, what do you call it when you do a biopsy? It could be a biopsy for a sibling or some medical procedure for a younger sibling going on between August the 11th and September 28th. Sorry about that. Okay. Um, just be careful. You're making me nervous. Mars is also being squared, broadly. He'll square Saturn at the end of the month and Neptune middle of the month. So there's a lot of turning points in your life to do with the word international, perhaps. And again, he looks like he wants to take an adventure. So, but he might be having emotional issues around it. So if you're thinking of an international trip or even a domestic trip, a domestic looks better on you with Venus down there. There's some major possibilities that you're making choices about. August the 11th to September the 28th. Virgo sun, Virgo moon, and Virgo rising sign. I am going to let you know that I might have to turn off the air conditioning. I'll hang in there. The first thing you should pay attention to here is quite clearly the energy of your friends, your social groups, your networks of belonging. This is where you could have a falling out with a friend. You could have a major downturn in a social group or network setting. This is where hard feelings happen quite often. Well, Mars is in that house and he is sextiling you, so it's not all that bad. I want you to think about emotional tension and emotional aggression connected to groups of belonging and friendship circles. And it doesn't mean you're going to actually be, fighting with a friend, like, pulling hair or something with each other, but rather emotional distance. Right. And you may be looking at cutting away from a group of friends or just a particular friend between August the 11th and September 28th. This is the gains of the career, specifically of the 10th house. It's not like the savings you have, and you may be quitting your job. And I'm surprised you already haven't with Uranus up there. So you may be getting ready to change your job, leave a job, quit your job, move your job. You get the idea, change of professional earning strategies as well, between August the 11th and September 28th. And Mars is trinal to the Cupid's arrow here, down here, like erotic Cupid's arrow, falling in love. Well, you could fall in love with a new job here, because the third house would be like a local area job or an online job, and you might be passionate about it. You might want to fall in love with it. But you could also be a single Virgo, and you might fall in love with somebody you meet in the local neighborhood or the local environment or through friendship groups and circles. So start going out with your friends, go travel around the neighborhood. Watch out for fighting with those friends, but they could introduce you to somebody and you could come into a brand new passionate love story. Venus and Icarus are sitting in your second house. Mars is broadly squaring them, but it's more like the wings that are melting on your money story. Why? This is your savings here. This is your pocketbook, wallet, checkbook, accumulated possessions, and Mars is cutting. It could be that there's some challenges with money and a sibling one older than you, challenges with money and friendship group circles and, spending. Maybe you're spending too much, having too much fun. Maybe you have to curtail it because your money wings are melting here. I think that you have to be attentive to not overspending between August the 11th and September the 28th, or you might live to regret it, and you might be wishing that you had spent less in that window of time. Especially given that Mars is a natural exaltation lord of the house of pleasures, your fifth house, and this is where the spending could go awry. I think there's a lot going on at the end of the month, mid-month to the end of the month, the square to Saturn, Neptune. Mars is trying to help you make a decision, and is to do with your chunky money. That's investments, inheritances, in-law money, money that you can make money that you might want to invest, that kind of money, and major life decisions, especially money you share with a spouse as well. And you're kind of trying to figure it out. And so there's a lot of especially end of the month of August, some really critical turning points in understanding what you want to decide regarding that money. Don't be pressured around, like, you might have a conflict between a long range goal, dream, and wish that you have and the ability to make the decision around your money. Because with Chiron and Cupido on the 3-9 axis, for example, maybe you want to spend money on travel. Maybe you want to spend money on education. There may be pressure to spend money or accumulate money or invest money in a way that's not really feeling right for you. So this is where you have to not take the advice of friends or that older sibling or whatever who's pushing and pressuring you, but go inward and figure out what it is you want to do. We're going to do Libra, but I have to now turn the air conditioning off. Libra. Sun, moon, and rising sign. Let's talk about your story. Watch your wings. They're melting. I don't know why they're melting, but we're seeing Mars's ingress on August the 11th to September 28th, accompanied by sort of falling from a great height. Now, that can be literal. This is your body if it's your rising sign. And so be careful you don't get up high and fall down. On the other hand, metaphorically, like Libra sun, your career melting wings, or Libra moon, your emotions, your home life, and you're melting, right? So melting wings, falling from the sky, falling from a height. This is like a warning for you to be careful, but Venus is your sign, Lord, and she's protecting you at the same time. So it's got two stories going on at once. And as Mars moves into your 10th house of career and profession and success there, you are looking at cutting energies. I don't know if you want to quit your job. I don't know if your job wants to quit you, right? Because sometimes Mars up there is like, you're fired. Or, the boss is going to be in a bad space and you're going to be watching out for the temper of your boss. So emotions are high. Intensity, passion, drive, ambition. Yeah, for sure. You are going to kill it. August the 11th to September 28th, you might try really hard to be a success in your career. But you might also be burning out. Sometimes Mars means separation. You're going to be separated from your career activities. Why would you do that? Maybe you're going to be away. Maybe you're going to be taking a vacation. But then having Mars up there, away or on a vacation in a sign of his actual fall, you're not liking it. Like it reminds me when I went away on my vacation to Egypt in 1987 when I worked at a New York City magazine. I went away. The boss got sick and I had to be in a hospital for a week. And my co-editor got his job for a week, took over. And then by the time I got back, she'd been promoted above me, even though I was senior to her. So there was a consequence or a cost to my vacation. All right. It helped that I was really good friends with her, but it felt like a big sting to me. I was there longer, I was senior, but I was away. So the opportunity I lost by being away. So being away from your work, taking a break from your work, taking time out from your work may come at a cost. Okay, that's the best I can say. You may feel like your wings melted because you did that. Yes, you need still to take time away when time away is needed. It could be also you're trying to take time away, but you're completely consumed with your work anyway. Well, both of those are warning bells for you. Now, sometimes when Mars is here as well, besides being ambitious and passionate, people burn out. Right, because Mars is not in his kingdom that he's happy in. He's not in Aries or Scorpio. He's not exalted in Capricorn. He's like, I don't know, he's overheating, really. So at what level is he overheating? What level are you unable to pace yourself in the work environment? Mars is flowing to Cupido in the second house. Now, this is like a love energy. Cupido is passion and ardor, but it's money, earnings, resources, and savings. So Mars will try to make you excited about money. He'll try to make you excited about making money, earning money, saving money. And that's great, but he's also in his fall. Sometimes we are our own worst enemies when we're literally excited about chasing the paper. And so I want you to be very careful because this is kind of baking in the theme for all of August the 11th to the 28th. The question is, what is really enthusiastically grabbing you? If you're not really passionate about it, but you're just passionate about the outcome, which is more money, this could also show you a something you're not seeing in your life, something you're not witnessing properly about yourself. Because with Venus in your sign, so what brings you joy? What brings you pleasure? And if, working your ass off just for money isn't the thing, then there's something you need to look at a little bit more deeply. Your voice, vocation, calling, the true path for you can be found in the second house. And where are you turned on by the way in which you accumulate money through professional activities is the question of August 11th to September 28th. Mars will square Saturn and Neptune mid-month, and then later on at the end of the month, Mars squaring Saturn, Neptune in the house of marriage brings distance or hardship in business partnerships and marriage partnerships. But The ultimate thing about this is that it's temporary. There's a kind of a cold shoulder vibe going on here. There kind of is, because Saturn is retrograde and moving away from Mars in the house of your marriage partner. There's almost like you're moving one way in your career ambition or something, and your partner's moving the other. Mars will see that your audience, your clients, and your marketplace are also a place of friction. Okay, because this is 10th houses from the 10th, 7th house is your outpicturing of your activities in your career into the public sphere, where there's a bit of difficulty here too. Because we have the hubris energy, I don't think that it's you that's got hubris. I think it's something else. But be careful with your business partners, and be careful with how you're trying to balance your work responsibilities with your domestic and love relationship angles of your life. I guess if you're single, you could fall in love with a coworker, colleague, somebody involved in making money with you in some professional activity. You certainly are charming and attractive. People like to look at you. You got Venus in your sign. She is in good shape from August 6th to September 10th. So you look good. You're attractive to others. People like you. So you could definitely have a office romantic thing pick up here. There's no way that I can say that could happen for sure, but you never know. You are looking good in the eyes of other people, really. All right, let's go ahead. And one more thing I'd say about it is that with the moon in the 11th, where that eclipse will happen on the 12th, there's a lot of change coming for you anyway in the months that follow the August 12th. I think a lot of you are changing your job. A lot of you are going to change your career focus. And so there's the first rumblings of that. I don't know if it's just disgruntlement that between August 11th and September 28th, you're just grouchy as all hell. You need to make a directional change in your career. You might not know the extent of it and the lay of the land until after this eclipse happens on August the 12th, and you let it unfold over months ahead. Hey, Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. So finally, there's a question for you. What or who turns you on? Where do you find a life force, energy, and passion in your reality? And where are you being smitten by Cupid's arrow and falling in love? Because August the 11th to September 28th, the arrow is in your zone. You might, Scorpio rising, and particularly fall madly in love with some situation, person, place, or thing. Scorpio sun, your career, you're falling for your career path. And Scorpio moon, your home and nest or mother. But whatever it is, there's a lot of love here for you to experience. And Cupido brings that vitality. With this in mind, Mars is trining Cupido from the 9th house of the keywords of international, foreign lands, long distance travel. Single Scorpios could fall madly in love with somebody from a different ethnicity, country, language, or all of that. You could be traveling abroad, traveling internationally, and falling in love with the travel itself or with someone in those travels that you meet if you're single. Because you could look at the passion and ardor of Cupido marrying Mars's enthusiastic gallivant through your 9th house, you might be very emotionally driven regarding the word publications, so we publish things here, books and bodies of knowledge and wisdom. This is a house often associated with astrology because it's got lots of parchments and scrolls and literature, ancient stuff. And there's a lot of drive, a lot of ambition, a lot of passion, which is fine, but also it's big level ivory tower high concept stuff in the 9th house. It's not the place where Mars is most comfortable. He'd rather be in the 3rd house, which is very kind of like difference between going off to university and going into like a weekend workshop. There's something here for you to consider, especially if any of you Scorpios are thinking of learning. Okay, learning environments and travel environments and major decisions are being made August 11th to September 28th, but also connected to some intrinsic ardor, passion, and enthusiasm that you're feeling about something in your life. And Mars is like saying, well, maybe it's about international themes. Maybe it's about academia. Maybe it's about travel. You're looking at the idea that Mars also, as he's wandering through your 9th house, will come into a square to Icarus as soon as he ingresses, really almost immediately. Icarus and Venus will be conjoined in your 12th house, and then there will be this dispute of some sort. I don't know if it's a big deal. It feels to me like there's some place in your reality where there's a bit of a meltdown, and it has to do with bed pleasures. Usually, we look at the 12th house as solitary activity and time alone and places of isolation, and that includes our bedrooms. So there's a way in which maybe your bed pleasures are sacrificed on the altar of something more important. And you might feel that your sexual life and your sexy life is falling down the drain. Yeah. You might also have to deal with addictions and pull back from self-undoing because your wings are melting. You're seeking pleasures that are not good for you. I'm laughing because my son's new baby is born. I'm a grandma and a little girl and a beautiful little girl. And I am seeing his bed pleasures falling away because if anyone knows what it's like to be married and you have a new child, you guys are not doing your bed pleasures at all. So that's just a thing we all know once we've had kids. If anyone, no, you have to realize the reality of new parenting. Um, okay, so make me laugh about it, right? So you could find like middle of the month, like the 18th, 19th, and at the end of the month, that square from Mars to Neptune and then Saturn can feel a little jaggedy around matters connected to your work, your work and health routines, matters connected to animals and pets. And it can look like there's a challenge with the health of a pet. So if you have a pet, especially an elder pet, Saturn, then Mars cutting from the house of heaven, that can look like a pet getting ready to go to heaven. If you have an elder pet, I'm giving you a warning so you can prepare that August 11th to September 28th can cut pets away. It can also mean a major change of work, a cutting out of a job or changing your job, particularly dealing with red tape, bureaucracies, human resources, or international themes and work. And Mars can also discombobulate your own health a little bit here. So, and if you have any debts and you're struggling to do legal action around debt repayment, then Mars is that lawyer fighting, but he's awfully emotional. So there's challenges around coming to terms with legal matters and debts between August the 11th and September the 28th. All right. A sibling 2 above you in birth order or 4 below you in birth order can have some major challenges to their reality, or you may have major difficulties with that sibling. So that's another thing to watch out for. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. First of all, Mars. Mars is August 11th to September 28th, moving through the sign of Cancer, where he is in his fall. Now, this is your money house that you don't earn this money. You share this money. So it's an inheritance. Spousal shared resources, spousal support, money from royalty income. Share it with the royalties with a book publisher, ad revenue. Google AdSense, you share it with Google. Whatever this money is not particularly your own paycheck, including in-laws and did I say inheritances? So there is that kind of money that Mars is cutting through here. And normally that just means a lot of tension, especially emotional, around those sorts of finances. But sometimes Mars is cutting and severing, but dividing. And this is often very evident that every 2 years he goes through here, but quite often in clients' lives, I see that's when people are arguing or fighting over or dividing their assets. Do you get the house? I get the sofa. You get the dog. I get this. This is separation monies being divided. So you might be dividing monies with others, even inheritance money. Okay. So it could be all kinds of money. So there's a division of financial assets here. And you might be busy, cutting it all up, especially in-law money as well, money that belongs to your family, your partner's family as well. And as Mars is doing all of this, August 11th to September 28th, he is also in a trine to Cupido. Therefore, hidden love relationships in secret places or far off lands. A lot of you could be finding a new love story wanting to emerge, especially with the moon in the 9th house, connected to foreign land travel, pilgrimages, getaways, ashrams, and retreats, and love, but secret love, hidden love. I don't know why you're not sharing it with the world. It would stay under radar for some reason. Could be having a slow burn, a slow build, keeping it stealthy, keeping it undercover. You might find yourself also having some difficulties with one of your children, money and your children, things connected to, your entrepreneurial business and some challenges. That's the Mars square, your 5th house of children. And there can be some issues with the finances with these people. Maybe you need to help them financially, help your kid financially, help your lover financially. And there may be stress there for you. August the 11th to September the 28th. Because Mars also is looking at wings melting Venus in the house of social groups and friendships, be careful, or the sibling one above you in birth order. You could have some major friction with that sibling or with friends. And this is like, yeah, look at Venus. Let's have friends. Let's be fun. And there's Icarus. And he goes, I'm melting. My wings are melting. There's a quality of a meltdown that's possible, a fall from some height of success in your career gains, taking a downturn in your actual relationship to that sibling one older, or a friendship, especially a female friendship, and a complete disintegration or meltdown in that friendship over the spilling of secrets, over the spilling of some unknown variable that comes to light. Certainly having that friend circle opposite melting wings opposite the house of your romantic life. There can be some treachery here. So look for unexpected developments there for some of you, Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, so here we go. I mean, first of all, what are you doing over here? Is that like your investments, your chunky money? That eclipse thing over there is taking up a lot of space on the 12th around financial matters. But we shall move on. We're going to talk instead about Mars. Mars is moving through your 7th house. This is long-term committed love relationships of any kind, plus business partnerships and alliances and legal agreements. Mars cuts and severs, breaks and separates stuff, usually. You know, he's a bull in the china shop of that sky right now, and he's also a little bit emotional. So there's a lot to be said about confrontational energy because Mars is looking at you. Some other person is being confrontational and emotional at you. It could be your business partner. It could be your long-term main partner. And whatever that is, it feels like you're under a lot of knives out, right? Knives out, like there's something there for you. Water pistols pointed at you, full of hot water. And it's not easy. And you know, you get this energy once every 2 years for about 6 weeks. So it's not unusual. It's not the end of your world. There are some other things that make it very uniquely different, which I'm going to address in a sec. I feel like this energy, though, with Mars here, it's like he's trining Cupido. Okay? If you were single, you might meet a very hot-headed partner of destiny with whom you fall madly in love because you connect to their presence through social groups of belonging and friendship circles. Okay? That could be all that is. And you might not. It's something else is going on because Mars is also looking at that square to Venus and to Icarus in the 10th house. And that makes me wonder if there is some falling from the sky of your visible reputation and stature. I don't know what that could be, because Venus can be the goddess of love. Venus can be the ruler of your sexual and romantic life. And yet this is kind of a visible meltdown. From the height of the visible world, there is a, you know, like a spiraling downdraft here, a helicopter going down, Black Hawk down. I'm sorry, I'm wiggling all over the place. I need to get a more ergonomic chair. Black Hawk down is what I'm saying. So is it your relationship, your romantic relationship? Are there problems? Is it everyone noticing that it's not working with you and your person? That's a possibility, you know, not necessarily true, but a possibility. You could go into some new job work, career space as well, more consulting, entrepreneurial. Just be careful you don't reach for a height that's too high and that you get into the position and you've attained a position of power in a work setting and all of a sudden you're not sure about it. Like it feels like, oh, this is way too hot and I feel like I'm out of my depth or I'm melting down here. We will also draw our attention to Mars's other role, separation, right? It doesn't have to be legal divorce settlements. It just means that I'm here and you're there. There's a distance between you and a significant relationship partner. It's geographical or separation, you know, a space apart. Mars is squaring your 4th house, and a lot of you, when this happens, especially 30 years ago with Saturn here never before with both. Could be looking at relocation of where you live. I mean, Mars is a ruler of your fourth house. So partly it could be he's directing you for a geographical change. He wants you to move. And it's possible that you're going to do that between August the 11th and September 28th. The motivation for moving might come through a business partnership, a consulting gig, a relationship. If the partner, Mars can be the other person you're in a relationship with, a husband, wife, or even just someone that's a committed love story. And there may be a lot of aggressive, demanding energy here. You know what I mean? Mars is like, God, I'm, fighting his case about it. So you might be careful for being pressured to move for a situation that you're not yet ready for. Because you see, Mars is the exaltation lord of your sign, and Mars wants to give you the best he can give you, but he's in somebody else's hands. It's like you've got your water pistol that you love, and you know how to shoot it perfectly true for what you want, and your water pistol is now in the hands of somebody else, and you've been disempowered, you've been, de-weaponized, right? And so you don't really have a power here. You're depowered, disempowered. So there's something to be careful about. Your decision-making power has been put in the hands of another. So this is where, if I was a Capricorn, I'd be asking myself, am I trembling at the force of another person's demands, or am I integral and looking at what I really want to do here and what I want to decide here? Anytime Mars is in the fourth, seventh house, and you're born with that, like say you're born with that, you could end up in relationships you feel bullied by the partner you're in a relationship with. So, and that's the thing to consider right now in your life. Are you in command of your story, or is someone else trying to take command of you? So that's something for all Capricorns to pay attention to. All right, especially with the moon in the eighth house, there could be threats and difficulties in existing marriages over shared resources and assets, and disputes about the money you both hold, including land and property. And maybe there's an urge in some of your lives to settle the dispute, end the marriage, separate the assets out. But be careful again, you are disempowered right now. Through to the 28th of the month of September, you're not in your best condition for making your best and most powerful exalted decisions. The Lord of your sign is fallen, and the exaltation Lord is fallen. So your decision-making capacity can be askew right now. So you need to take a few deep breaths, right? Mars will be out of there on the 28th, and then you can sort of settle down and figure out what it is you really want to do around moving, around career, around money, and around relationship. Take a time out to give yourself breathing room. Aquarius, I am one of you. Hello, sun, moon, and rising folk. I am thinking that we're going to notice a lot of activity in our sixth house. And August the 11th to September 28th, the condition is burnout if we're not careful. Mars is a very emotionally charged guy, and in the sign of Cancer. And this is the daily work routines and work itself, the job, employees, right? It's your space that you work in. This is my office. Mars is, well, you could get a flood in your office. My whole building flooded, but I hope my office doesn't flood. But it's more than that. It's kind of like there's a lot of high spirit and emotion in a place of work. And yet at the same time, it could look like a burnout. Remedies might be, for example, to exercise more. This would be great for swimming or some kind of fluid motion to balance this out for yourself, because this is a house of sickness, and the last thing you need to do is get sick. Fevers, rashes, inflammation. This is digestive stress. This is the mammary glands. I'll keep you posted on my mammary glands, but this is where you could find yourself, burning out. And you're your own worst enemy because Mars is out of dignity here. Employees may quit. Yeah, so people that work for me might want to leave their job. That's fine. Or they may be fired. I might have to terminate people, right? That's an example, because that's my house of employees. But you could be terminated if you are an employee. So there's a change there that you're facing a potential termination. So when Mars ingresses, he does sextile Chiron, and it could indicate a change of home connected to rental property. It can indicate a change of home connected to a rental situation. It can also indicate high momentum around securing an animal in your house, a pet, and maybe an opportunity for a pet emerging between August 11th and September the 28th. But Mars is also flowing to Cupido, and that's your career, professional activities, and success house. There can be a huge amount of passion going on in your life for something you're doing in the professional sphere, a lot of love and passion and excitement about that. So there is a possibility that as you're working with a great deal of emotional intensity, you're also having a lot of passion for your work. Again, it doesn't discount the fact that you need to take care of yourself. Be careful you don't overdo it, and find balance to protect your body, because this is the house of sickness. You've got Saturn, the lord of your body, fallen in the third house of the social media landscape, your everyday world, your neighborhood and your environment that you live in, bookstores and restaurants and all of that. All said and done, Mars is squaring that, especially at the end of the month. This is a cautionary note that around the 18th and then later on, the very end of the month, Mars square Saturn is asking you to be careful, because otherwise there's also burnout here if you work in the online industry, media and social media environments. Trips can be canceled. Mars is squaring Saturn in a house of travel. He's also squaring Icarus and Venus in a house of travel. There may be last minute cancellations out of your control, constricting your travel plans. Probably best to be careful for travel distance, long and short distance travel plans that you might be making. Be careful, because it looks like there's going to be difficulties there. August the 11th to September 28th, out of your control, maybe plans will go sideways. Make them anyway, but hope for the best. Melting wings, falling from the sky, ninth house, a sibling 2 older than you, 4 younger than you, in birth order, could be having a difficult time, and Mars is looking at that and helping it, or helping make decisions for that sibling. But the other thing about the ninth house is it has a lot to do with your dharma, your life path. It has to do with book publishing. It has to do with teaching, if it's professorial. Mars is squaring Venus and Icarus. There is something about, if your profession involves anything to do with learning and teaching environments, then you might be feeling some kind of pressure cooker, like things have, kind of escalated to a great height and you are overwhelmed by it all. I can kind of relate. I'll be teaching Sky Reader, but it's not like I haven't taught it 7 times before. But I can see myself feeling like, oh my God, I've got like so much to do in my social media sphere, on my YouTube content creation, while I'm also preparing for this class. And I can see that tension here. So I'll give myself good advice to cool it down, and take care of my health. You are literally looking at this whole story too with a Plutonian lens. Like, you are powered up by transpersonal forces, and you're kind of looking at life through the lens of what power means to you. So I have to say that you don't know this story because you've never been in this way with Pluto in your sign before, let alone the North Node. So there's a lot to consider about how we deal with this energy. So because this is the house of sickness, again, I warned you about digestive health. This is also inflammation, heat, pustules and rashes, infections. But, it doesn't mean you're going to get sick. Just be careful you don't get sick. Okay, this is the time to fortify with your vitamin regime and eat lots of garlic and stay as healthy as you can. And you might seek out some kind of this hubris thing, right? There may be some kind of downfall with a sibling, where there was a kind of arrogance around some sibling situation. And for example, maybe you're going to have a challenge, argument, a falling out, a disconnection from a sibling. In terms of sibling order, just as a general principle, a sibling 1 younger than you. So this is where you have to be treading carefully in relationships with all siblings, especially 1 younger than you. And if you are single and looking for a relationship, especially with that solar eclipse total south node on August 12th, you're more likely, with Mars's cooperation, August the 11th to September 28th, to meet somebody in a professional setting, in a setting connected to health improvements, or in a setting connected to pets or large animals. Okay, everything from dogs and cats to horses and elephants. So in animal settings, professional settings, and in work settings and health settings, taking care of your health and meeting someone under that kind of energy field. And there's passion there and excitement. All right, so let's see how it goes for us. Let's see what happens. What about you, Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising? Where are you going with this story? Well, number one, Mars is flowing to in a trine, but he is in a condition of fall. He's emotionally passionate here, and he's in a house of romantic love and pleasure and entrepreneurial and creative endeavors. So certainly if you're an entrepreneur or artist, you could be working passionately on a creative or entrepreneurial project, but you could also be burning out too because the emotional overload here or the intensity is, at your detriment. So you have to be careful for that. You may have some challenges with a child, adult or child, doesn't matter what age they are. They could be temper tantrumy, they could be arguing with you, they could be all feisty, but they may also be wanting to separate from you, right? So sometimes it's just a kid wants to move out of the house. It may feel difficult, emotionally fraught for you, but that can happen if you have kids getting ready to de-nest between August 11th and September 28th. And for some of you, of course, your kids are going off to college or something. Mars here can be cutting and ending and severing anything, but he can also cut, end, and sever something that you consider to be a pleasure from your life. Now, pleasures and enjoyment factors aside, I mean, he's not going to cut away because he likes sexuality. So there's a lot of emotional intimacy and sexual energy that can increase here, but he can also cut away pleasures as well. So cutting, ending, and severing any kind of enjoyment or pleasures that are particularly inauspicious for you. He is squaring Venus, the goddess of pleasure, and Icarus falling from the sky. The kinds of pleasure that you might cut away would be very deeply karmatic as well. Almost like, there's just something about the pleasures that you're trying to experience that just might not be good for you. Maybe not good for your health. Venus rules the kidneys, right? I mean, sorry, not Venus, but Venus rules sexual energy, sperm and ovum, and Libra is kidneys. And so here we can say kidney health, sexual health, STD health. This is a warning for single Pisces not to fool around, because Mars can give you infections that are sexually transmitted. Well, he travels your fifth house. He's squaring Venus, the goddess of, romantic love. There's a lot she's hidden from your view here, so you don't know your partner's sexual history. I mean, do not take risks there. Between August the 11th, September 28th, do not take risks. You will rue the day, as they say. And there's super strains of gonorrhea and stuff out there. You do not want to take a chance with unknown sexual encounters. Warning bells like galore here for you. One of your children and money issues, melting wings, one of your children and residence and domicile and where they're going to live and their wings are melting, challenges for a child for domicile, home, environment, or money and matters for one of your kids. I'm thinking adult kids, clearly. So with Mars squaring Saturn at the end of the month, Neptune about middle of the month, the kind of last half of this whole month, the August month there, the 18th, 19th, and later on, the very tail end of the month, you're going to find that there's a lot going on with your finances. And it's actually, Venus, Icarus in the eighth house and Saturn and Neptune in the second. It's a money axis. And there's a lot of tension here with money and children, money and romantic partners, money and entrepreneurship and creative projects. There's some kind of money crisis maybe, or focus, and you might want to make some major life decisions around money, especially money from your in-laws or money shared resources with your marriage partner. Major changes in monetary policy in your life. Ultimately, Mars is the exaltation lord of your 11th house of career gains, and that's where you'd rather be. So if you're having to spend money for a kid, or you're having to work really hard in some entrepreneurial thing that's draining you, there can be money coming from a sibling one older. There could be some better money situations connected to professional advancement. Something can be really pulling you down here, though. And ultimately, Pisces, it's like you could have disputes and arguments about money. And with whom would you do that? Really, that is the question, right? So be careful. You could even argue with a spouse about money. And the reason you could argue with a spouse about money is Mercury here. Mercury is a part of that eclipse in the house of debts. Money you owe, money you and a spouse owe, and disputes around finances. And so if or partnerships, doesn't have to be marriage, by the way, just long-term partnerships and money disputes, money arguments, heated battles over financial situations, feeling constricted maybe, feeling the money is tight, feeling you don't have enough money in a relationship. And that tension is going to be hot. hot, too hot to handle? I don't know, but hot. August the 11th to September 28th. Just tell your partner to bugger off and you're making money on your own up there in the 11th house, and something like that is happening. Maybe values around money might be stressed out as well in relationships. One person thinks money is the root of all evil or something, and the other person thinks money is glorious. And so look to value clashes about money with significant long-term love partnerships as well. August the 11th to September 28th. And that's it. I'm going to finish this up. Don't forget to watch the video coming up next where I talk about Sky Reader. Some of you might want to join me in the fall. I would love to have you there. So let's end this now and say thanks for being here. And don't forget, when you like and subscribe, it's such a small little button push. You just push a little button and you help the channel grow. And if you want to comment, I read my comments. And if you want to hype my video, I don't know what hyping does, by the way, but if you want to hype my video, go ahead and hype it too. I'd love to have you hype my video. I'll see you guys in the next one. And don't forget, have a great solar eclipse on August 12th. Please watch my solar eclipse video. It's really worth it. It's a big deal eclipse. Take care, everybody. Every year I teach Sky Reader in the fall. It's always in September. It's usually 6 weeks long. And this time we're going for 7. We're taking it a little slower, giving you a very kind of leg up first week, which we take the pieces of the sky and teach you to read them in a very constructive and well-paced manner. This is my favorite class to teach. When I teach Sky Reader, I always feel so excited because you have learned to read your own sky. You now know what your chart is all about, and you know how to read the basic language of astrology for your friends, family, and your children, whoever you want to share it with. No, we're not professionally certifying you. At Lunatic Astrology, I'm your teacher, Lori Lothian. We're teaching you to fish so that when you listen to me on YouTube and you're getting all of that guidance, maybe you can also get your own. You know, we don't want to move against the sky. We want to move with the sky. We want to move in the area of our lives that brings us flow and ease, because the sky supports that. And by having a knowledge of what the sky is saying and relative to our own natal sky, we are able to operate at a new level. That level is about flow. It is about not arguing with what is happening and moving in the direction of what wants to happen. It is so darn simple. Life is full of ups and downs, but if you know that there's a swamp, 2 doors away, and if you walk that way, you're going to get stuck in quicksand, you can avoid that. If you go to the left instead of the right, there's a beautiful meadow with a lake. Why not take that path? The sky is always grabbing us. It's called the grahas, or the grabbers. The planetary planets, like where they're going in the sky, the transits, that moving heavens, the moving stars, the map of time is a map of where we should avoid getting stuck and where we may move forward with freedom. And the grabber part of planets is that they're almost like celestial teasers, right? They want to grab us and make us move in a direction. Sometimes it's not in our highest and best good. And I don't mean in a conscious, malefic way. I just mean you can take something like Neptune and make it all about transcendence and spiritual union and high creativity and imagination. And you can take it all the way down to drug addiction, and destitution maybe, and even things to do with mental challenges, health challenges. So you can operate at all levels of every planet. In Sky Reader, we show you your highest potential. Now, this is an introductory class. If you want to come to Sky Reader to be your own astrologer and time your best life, then you're coming because you are curious astrologically. You're not coming because you've already taken some heavyweight courses under your belt. You're coming because you've been listening to my channel or other astrologers, and you've always had a curiosity about learning, and you've always wanted to learn to read the sky, which is the map of time. So I'm hoping some of you will come join me there, because I've graduated hundreds of students so far, and the feedback is wonderful. And I invite all of my students, former, to come back every year and play around in redoing the course for 75% off, because I think the more you do it, the more you deepen it. We have guest teachers every year. When you join Sky Reader, you get the archived vault. In other words, you can go back and watch other guest classes in astrocartography, the astrology of relocation, and things to do with zodiacal releasing and more. We have these guest teachers coming in this year, are so much fun. We have a guest teacher about the love codes, Donnie Lim of astrology, learning to read your Venus story. We have a guest teacher coming in about medical or wellness astrology. We have another one showing us about how to choose the perfect day to do something, day and time to launch your website, get married. That's called electional astrology. We have what's your purpose, dharma kind of thing with another teacher. So what we're doing is we're giving you a lot of content. What you're doing is you're taking time to learn, but also to hold on to that content forever. It is evergreen. Once you have it, you never don't have it. If it's over your head at first, you won't be over your head when you take a second stab at it. weekly Q&As, different time zones, so we can get people around the world in those Q&As. We alternate between evening and night every second week on Wednesday nights, and usually they're at 5:30 or 6 p.m. Pacific time. We also have the idea that the class itself is now happening at 9:30 a.m. in Pacific time on Saturday, starting on the 19th of September. So that's wonderful. We have a Facebook group and a Discord group that we have moderators running where you can meet other people who are learning astrology, share your notes, and get to meet some new astrologically curious friends. Who knows? You might meet your soulmate there. And we're also taking you through a journey that is sequential, from learning to read the sky to being able to use two very profound timing tools to help you understand your reality and begin to move forward with ease and grace. The feedback from Sky Reader year after year has been phenomenal, and every time I teach it, I learn to make it more simple, more well-paced, and more easy for you to grasp. So I'm in 7 years of doing this. I think I'm getting it down finally to a fine art thanks to you guys. I'm going to show you the website just so you see what it looks like. I'm now moving most of my content to laurilothian.com. It used to be somewhere else at Padaya. If you're there already, nothing is taken away from you. At this point, though, I'll show you the new website so you can take a gander at what the sky looks like over there, what my site looks like. And I hope to see some of you in class. I always say this, and I'm not making this up. You might probably think, oh, that's a sales pitch. Oh, I might not teach this next year. That's not true. I always wonder if I'm just going to retire and start to write books. And my agent wants me to write a book. And so I have a lot on my plate to get done in this life. Legacy is to leave a book behind. So for me, when I say I may not teach this next year, Lori may not teach this next year. Okay. All right. So this is the website, laurilothian.com. If you go /sky-reader, you'll be at the introduction to the course and the enrollment page. We're on a discount code right now until the end of July. Well, it's not a code, it's just a discount. There's 40% off the full price. And then in August, depending on when you hear this, there'll be another lower price, not as discounted as July's early enrollment price, but by September, it will go to full price. So make sure that you get in this class with a discount if that's something you're looking for. So you can see this beautiful website was created by my team. I think it's gorgeous. Learn to read your sky. And then there's a preview of what we have going on. So when you get into the course backdrop and you're there, you're going to have like stuff already waiting for you, a little tutorial on how to cast your chart in whole sign houses, free minis of the 12 houses PDF. And I have what I call your Astro Toolkit. I'm always adding more stuff to that toolkit. You don't need a professional software. You can use Astrocom, astro-seek.com, time passages. These are free softwares. This is not requiring you to purchase professional software in order to learn in my course. And you'll see that we have the toolkit here. These are elements that go in, how to cast your chart in whole sign houses. These are already in the back end of the program. Your cheat sheet pack, 12 signs, 12 houses guide. This is just learning tools. This is all going to help you learn. For most classes, I'll be putting together a handbook to help guide you through each class, which is new this year, kind of a prompts, a questions, things to fill out so that you can use it as a kind of self-study tool. Just print it out on a PDF on a computer. I'll aim to keep it black and white, of course, so you don't have to worry about color. And then we see that the Astrology 101 is we set you up really slowly. I call it the slow start, where we're really going to build the basic building blocks together so that when you come off of week one, you are like someone who went to kindergarten to learn the alphabet. You're going to have the basics in your toolkit, in your understanding already. And then we talk about the various parts of the sky, the big four, the 12 houses, dignity matters. Planets have dignity. You want to understand that. Otherwise, there's nothing you're going to understand without that. Dignity matters. We're also using whole sign houses, and this is ancient Hellenistic astrology. The focus will not be on the outer planets because we can't use them as time lords. And so it's not that there's anything wrong with the outer planets, but they're not good for timing your best life. Unless you want to live 248 years, says Pluto, 164 years, says Neptune, or 84 years, says Uranus. They're not the most timely tools, right? Solar returns is one of the things we do, and we learn about the perfection ages. Now, you may think I know all about my solar return and my perfection age. I don't think you do. I embed in some advanced tools there for you that you won't probably find anywhere else after 8 years and thousands of clients, nonstop teaching and seeing real clients in the trenches. I have figured a few things out, and I always like to share what I figured out with you guys so that you can also use those tools the way I do. There's always bonus content here. And so you get from me not to use until you've taken Sky Reader, the birthday chart advanced course as your solar return, the annual perfections advanced course, and how to find people in your chart. Where's my mom? Where's my kids? Where's my husband? Where's my siblings? How to find the planets that represent those people in your chart. That is also a part of a course that I've taught that I give you as a part of your bonus toolkit. Okay, so I hope you guys will go over. I hope you'll have fun if you come to study with me. I would love to see you there. When I talk about teaching, without a doubt, it is my favorite thing to do. It gives me a joy, actually. I remember years ago, I went to see a psychic reader in Coquitlam, Canada. That's outside of Vancouver. She looked at me as I walked in the room. This is like 15 years ago. And she said, teacher, 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 you are a teacher. At the time, I was a magazine editor and a writer, and I had no idea what she was talking about. And look at her today. She was right 15 years later. That is my passion. That is what I do. Hope you'll join me. I'll see you guys in Sky Reader, and let's have some fun learning together. Everyone have a very good, wherever you are, day, month, or year.
Lunatic astrology.